Welcome to episode number 4 of the All Average Wrestling Show. Once again, I'm your host, Brandon B.T. Taylor. So, this past weekend, we had All Out and WrestlePalooza, and the big thing to come out of this weekend has to be the state of professional wrestling here in the United States. And let me start off with WrestlePalooza here. WrestlePalooza severely underdelivered. And this has been a rolling trend this year when it comes to WWE, where they will put out an event on paper, it looks great, and something happens and it just doesn't click. And that has really been the trend, a lot of the stuff they have done this year. Jey Uso's main event push, all there, hyped it up, didn't work. John Cena's heel turn started off, you had the great moment of him turning heel, and then fell flat. Cody Rhodes' current WWE Championship reign, so far, to a lot of people, it's flat. A lot of things they have been doing this year looks like it has great potential, and then just falls flat. ESPN did a review on WrestlePalooza and even said, no, not a good show aside from Stephanie Vicura versus Io Sky. The show was pretty much average. I don't agree with that. I thought CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Rollins and Becky was a great match. Probably it was the match of the night, I think. But it was an underdelivered show. At the end of the day, it was severely underdelivered. It was borderline a dud. You had the first match, okay? First match, I get it. It's a throwback to when Brock absolutely dominated John Cena. Pick up the win, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully this leads to a second match, because if it doesn't, then what the hell was the point of that? So if we're not getting a second match between Cena and Brock here, what was the point of that first? What was the point of that match to kick off the night? And then the big thing also come out of WrestlePalooza is now all PLEs, it looks like, are going to have commercials. So that's it's not a WWE thing, I don't think. I think that's mainly an ESPN thing, so you could blame ESPN for that one. But that's just absolutely brutal. I gotta sit here and watch PLE, and then now I gotta deal with a 5-minute commercial break in between. I guess it'd be fine to, like, say you just got it through a great match and you need like a moment, which is something AEW should honestly follow and let us breathe. That could let us breathe moment. Then I get that. The issue here is most of the PLEs aren't good. So you're shoveling me 5 matches of shit for the most part. A 5-match card, which is absolutely not fucking worth it. And now I gotta sit through commercials too. So that's the state of WWE right now. There's a lot of potential, but for some reason or another, it just falls flat. And then you got Triple H promoting a big surprise, expect surprises, and our surprise ended up being Stephanie McMahon going in the Hall of Fame. I'm not against Stephanie going Hall of Fame. I think she should go in it, but that was not worth teasing expect surprises. That was not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. So that's WWE right now, and it is getting annoying. And then you got AEW. I want to go through All Out here first. So you had Cope and Christian versus FTR. That was a fun little match. Cope and Christian won. And then you got the debut of Beth Phoenix, now known as Beth Copeland. And pretty much it was the same angle they did, if I'm correct, at Elimination Chamber. Not Elimination Chamber, Extreme Rules. The Judgment Day taking out Beth Phoenix with Concerto. This one was the pile driver towards her from FTR. Like, it didn't. I'm sorry, but for the sickos trying to defend themselves, trying to figure out how to word myself here with this one. I don't get the sickos trying to defend Beth Phoenix coming in like she's going to help change the women's division, this, that, and the other. There's a chance she is probably never going to wrestle for them. There is a chance, because there's a legit chance this could be Adam Copeland's final feud of his career. That is on the table. So what? Why do we want you have a hard enough time building your current women's stars. Now we're gonna throw Beth Phoenix into it. Like, just come on. It's not it. Not it with Beth Phoenix. Then you had the hell was that next card? The next match on the card was Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill. This Eddie Kingston's return should have happened when they were at the ECW arena. It should not have happened here. He looked extremely winded. It was only about a 7-minute match. Completely missed his finisher here. And I like Eddie Kingston. I think he's one of the more entertaining people in AEW. But this was a match that did not belong on the card. And you're going to kind of see a little trend here with AEW, and you normally do with every pay-per-view card they have. There's at least 3 to 5 matches that did not belong on pay-per-view. So you had Kingston Big Bill, didn't need to be on there. Whatever. Mark Briscoe versus MJF in a tables and tax match. That was extreme. I liked it. I don't know about Mark Briscoe beating MJF here, but not against it. Not against it. Mark Briscoe did need a win like this really bad, but MJF also needed a win too here. But if this is a way to write MJF off so he can finish movie he's doing and go on his honeymoon, fine. Fine. By all means, go and do that. And I like Mark Briscoe. I don't know what you really do with him here. Maybe he's next for Fletcher for TNT. Not TNT. Yeah, TNT Championship. But I don't know. Good match. I liked it. I know a lot of people were kind of on it, but it was fine for what it was. It was fine. The Demand versus the Hurt Syndicate. This match right here. So this is another match that should have been on TV and not on pay-per-view. But this match had no business being as good as it was. And Demand ended up winning this match, Ricochet and Gates of Agony. This kind of felt like the Gates of Agony coming out party here. I know it's weird to say considering they've been in AEW for about a couple of years now. But yeah, this was a really strong showing for Gates of Agony here. And Demand picked up the win here, but this is another match that didn't need to be on pay-per-view. Just like this next match, Mercedes Moné defeated Riho by pinfall to retain the TBS championship. We didn't need this. This did not need to be on pay-per-view, especially since we all know who's winning, because they're not having Mercedes drop that title until she breaks Jade's record. Sorry, this was not one of Mercedes' strong matches as TBS champion, but it wasn't one of her worst either. But this is a match that didn't need to be on pay-per-view. And then up next, Okada versus Takeshita versus Dorada. So before I get into this one, I didn't realize there was 2 Doradas. Because going in this match, I assumed that was Grand Metalik, who's going by the Dorada name now. Instead, it's some 23-year-old who was absolutely insane. Like, he made a fan out of me in this match. This was a great match. This is a match that did belong to pay-per-view. Since I'm gonna be consistent here. So this was a fun one. And I can't wait to see Okada versus Takeshita. Those two, so it's going to happen in AEW, but with Takeshita challenging for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and I assume he is going to beat Zack Sabre Jr. for it. This is a match I'd love to see in the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom. The night of Tanahashi's final match. Okada Takeshita headline in Wrestle Kingdom feels like a match that New Japan needs more than AEW needs, but I think it's going to happen in AEW first between those two. Next, Moxley versus Darby in a coffin match. Moxley won. Oh yeah, before that one, Okada retained the Unified Championship. Moxley Darby here. I don't know. I didn't care for this match at all. Moxley ended up winning this match, but this is a match I really did not care for. I don't really care for the Moxley Darby feud now, because the whole point of stopping the Death Riders was getting that world title off of them. So continuing the fight against the Death Riders at this point doesn't have the same impact as it would if Moxley was still champion. And I'm happy Moxley is no longer champion because that reign was not good. It wasn't good, and it set AEW back a lot. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't really care for the Moxley Darby feud, and I didn't really care for this match. Not saying it was a bad match or anything, but I didn't really care for it. And we'll get back to Darby and Moxley in a bit because they had a backstage segment which felt unnecessary. Next, probably the shocker of the night, Chris Statlander became the AEW Women's World Champion, defeating Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, and Thekla. So I'm happy she pinned Toni Storm in this one because I was scared the reason this was a multi-woman match was so they can get the title off of Toni Storm without beating Toni Storm. And this served its purpose here. You got the title off of Toni, which was needed because you're not taking the TBS off of Mercedes. So you got to take the Women's World Championship off of Toni. And Toni got pinned. So it's not so you didn't do a cop out here and have Chris Statlander beat Jamie Hayter or Thekla to win the Women's World Championship. I can't wait for a Chris Statlander world title reign. It's going to be refreshing. It's going to be better than seeing timeless Toni Storm running through the division with a gimmick that is, still over to the sickos and EW fans, but it's running its last legs. And hopefully losing the Women's World Championship helps bring new life into the timeless Toni Storm gimmick because holding on to that title was bringing it down for her. So can't wait to see what Statlander does as champion. We're probably getting a Willow match in there at some point between Statlander and Willow for the title. That's going to be fun. So yeah, let's see what Statlander does as Women's World Champion because they desperately need to start making new women's single stars here. And this is now going to lead into Tony Khan's announcement that was announced. Tony Khan's going to make an announcement this Wednesday on Dynamite. I have a feeling this is going to be him announcing the women's tag titles because it feels like a lot of the women's superstars are now back, and he has wanted to do the women's tag titles for a hot minute. I don't really get why, considering you can't even book your two women's championships right now accurately. But whatever. Bring the women's tag titles in. I'm interested to see how they do it, and hopefully they do it better than what WWE is doing with theirs, which the bar is not high for that one. Up next, ladder match between Brodito, the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and the Don Callis family. Brody King and Bandito retained. Fun match for what it was, a ladder match. I'll probably get like 8 stars from fucking Uncle Dave and whatever, but that wasn't the story of the match coming out of it. Because coming out of the match, after it ended, Jack Perry made his return after what I think it's about a year since the last time we saw him, or almost a year. And he attacked the Bucks. There really wasn't any explanation on why he attacked the Bucks. Taz alluded to, we saw this on BTE. I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Most of your audience does not watch Being the Elite, and I doubt most even realize Being the Elite was even back. Like, they got to explain this on Wednesday on TV. Why Jack Perry and the Bucks have an issue now. Because Taz telling us we saw this on BTE doesn't do anyone any justice here. No service, doesn't explain anything. I shouldn't have to, or anyone shouldn't have to pull up a YouTube show from the Bucks to get clarity on why the Bucks and Jack Perry have an issue all of a sudden now. Since the last time we saw the Bucks with Perry, they were all on good terms and they worked together as the Elite. But that also reunited Jack Perry with Luchasaurus, and Jurassic Express is back, which is something the tag team division desperately needed. They needed Jurassic Express back. You need to do something with Luchasaurus. You need to do something with Chuck Perry. Put them back together. Tag division desperately needed it. I like it. I have no issues with it. I don't think either would have done fine as a single star. Jack Perry wasn't. Luchasaurus, I don't think would have either. So they're back in the tag division. Let's keep the rebuild of the AEW tag division back on. Keep it rolling. And then next, the main event Adam Page defeated Kyle Fletcher to remain the AEW World Championship. This match went unnecessarily long. It was almost 20 minutes too long. It was about 38 minutes, about 40-minute match. This match probably should have ended around the 25-minute mark. So here's my issue with this. I don't think Kyle Fletcher should be eating L's this early into his push as a credible future singles star here. He should have been defending the TNT Championship at this event, not challenging Page, and I get it. Regardless of what Tony Khan says, there likely was a pivot from Wardlow to something else. The pivot was to Fletcher. I don't think it should have been Fletcher here in this scenario. It probably should have been Takeshita. Page versus Takeshita would have been a great match still. Takeshita could easily take the L or be fine. Or even Okada could easily take the L and be fine. Fletcher's going to be fine at the end of the day, but he didn't need to lose. He doesn't need to lose this early on. And I'm not saying Fletcher should have won the AEW World Championship. He shouldn't have. I mean, because I think Page should be holding on to the title to at least Full Gear. Full Gear or World's End is how long Page should hold the title to. He should not go into New Year's champion because I like Page. We're about 60 days into his second reign, and it's worse than his first. And I thought his first is pretty underrated by a lot of people. And a lot of AEW fans and wrestling fans in general who underrate Hangman Page's world title reign. But this reign has not been working. I don't know what it is. Is it the lack of credible main event caliber heels right now that he has to work with? Is it because Swerve and Ospreay are out? Bryan's retired? Like, I don't know what it is. And I don't even know what's next for Page for Wrestle Dream because it doesn't look like they're going back to MJF, at least not till probably near the end of the year. I don't think you're going back to the Don Callis family here. So what are you doing next with Hangman Page? So that's going to be interesting. What's next for Hangman Page? Who's he facing next? And it probably might end up being someone from a Don Callis family again. So really, it's a wait and see on that one. So that was AEW. Wasn't one of their best shows, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Fucking idiot here. Moxley and Darby had a backstage segment where Darby set Jon Moxley on fire. No, you can't sit here and tell us that AEW is family friendly. And then on your pay-per-view, you have one motherfucker setting another motherfucker on fire. You just can't do that. You can't. And I'm fine. If you don't want to be family friendly, fine by that. I'll still watch. I'm still going to watch. That doesn't affect me. Or if you do, fine. Be family friendly. Don't sit here and say you're a family-friendly product when this entire event showed otherwise, and people comparing it to, the Attitude Era had people saying, suck it, and this, that, and the other. The Attitude Era was not a family-friendly product, nor did they claim to be a family-friendly product. So it's apples and oranges for that one. But All Out, not a bad show, not a great show. It was better than WrestlePalooza. I'll give them that. AEW never disappoints when it comes to in-ring action. That's never been their issue. It's consistently good storytelling. It's mainly booking. That's their main issue. It's never the in-ring talent. Their in-ring talent, when you're buying an AEW event and you're buying just strictly for the wrestling, you don't plan on watching any weekly show involving them, worth it. Maybe not through HBO Max because that'd be stupid. Paying $30 on top of another whatever. So maybe through Amazon or VPN it and go to Sterling TV and do it. But AEW in-ring wise, it's always worth it. It's always a great product in-ring. That's never been their issue. Where the best wrestle in-ring wise, you know what? They're probably right. They're probably right. They don't disappoint for the most part when it comes to in-ring. It's just booking and consistently good storytelling. They tell stories. It's just most of the time it's not good. That's all. And this was an event where I feel Tony Khan took the lead for Booker of the Year over Triple H because both promotions have had their ups and both promotions have definitely had their lows this year. But with the last 4 months, really, 3 months of the year, they go head to head once again. AEW won this one. AEW won this one. This is not unhealthy tribalism. Fine with tribalism. I chalk up tribalism as you're rooting for your favorite sports team or you're rooting for your favorite fighter or athlete. As long as you're doing it in a healthy manner, like typical back and forth, like sports talk, shit talk, like that, that's fine. When you start getting a little creepy with it and you start acting weird, then tribalism or tribalistic arguments of WWE versus AEW, this, that, and the other, no, it's not okay. It's not cool. So, yeah, tribalism's okay as long as it's done in a healthy manner and not in a very weird way. That's all. And then let me go through WrestlePalooza because I didn't really go through the card here. Brock Lesnar squashed John Cena, 8 minutes, 50 seconds. Match was fine for what it was. If they're leading to a second match, this makes sense. If it doesn't, what a waste of one of John Cena's final matches and appearances. So the hope is we're getting a rematch in Australia between the two. The Vision versus the Usos. Besides Jey Uso pretty much taking himself out with the steel chair, this match went on way too long. This is about a 20-minute match. Didn't need to be. Match was not it. The Vision won, which was expected and needed. But yeah, this for a 5 pay-per-view match, and you want us to sit down and spend our Saturday night watching this match was not worth it. And this was a match I had concerns about heading into this event. And if, just like me, and you had concerns about this match heading in, you were justified. Stephanie Vaquero versus Io Sky, this is my opinion, was the second best match of the night. You could argue it was the match of the night, but great win. A star was born in Stephanie Vaquero. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with her as champion. My only fear is they're going to immediately jump into her versus Rhea, which I don't think is the path. I think you should hold off on that one. Keep that one in your back pocket because that's going to be a big match. I would do Stephanie versus Raquel or Stephanie versus Roxanne next. I think those are the two, especially Raquel, who is massively improved since Kevin Nash told her to start working like a big man. Start working like an actual enforcer. Because so far, we're going towards the end of the year right now. She is easily probably the favorite for most improved wrestler of the year. She has had a hell of a year compared to when her return happened and that was completely botched and all that. And since she's really came on to the main roster, she never really clicked. This year has been a hell of a year for Raquel Rodriguez and has felt more like a coming out and a statement year for her. So I'm proponent for Stephanie Vaquero versus Raquel Rodriguez for that Women's World Championship next. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Punk and AJ Lee won. AJ Lee submitted Becky Lynch. This is, my opinion, was the match of the night. It was the match that everyone was looking forward to heading in. This was probably it for Punk and Rollins for the hot minute. AJ and Becky, it looks like they're going to go towards the IC title. Likely for Australia. Don't know what you do with CM Punk here. Going to be interesting what you do with Punk heading to Australia, considering Rollins is going to be in the Crown Jewel Championship match. But I like this match a lot. It was probably the best mixed tag team match WWE has had since Ronda's debut. So this was good. This was really good. This match makes watching on Saturday night worth it. The Vision versus the Usos did not. And then this match, which Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, this was not good. This was not a good match, especially for two people of their caliber. Because both of them are better than what that was in the main event. It was a very anticlimactic Main event. Cody picked up the win in about 17, and it really put the exclamation point on what was mostly a dud night. You had 5 matches, 3 of them arguably, 1 definitely didn't slap, and the other 2 arguably didn't slap. And then you had 2 really good ones. I think if Stephanie versus Io or the mixed tag match main evented, would have been better. Would have been better. We are about 30 minutes in. What's on tag for this week? Don't think much. The next AEW event is Wrestle Dream in October, and WWE's is NXT. NXT No Mercy is this Saturday. What is that card, actually? Okay. So that card is JC Jane versus Lola Vice for the Women's Championship, Sol Ruger versus Candice LeRae or Lainey Reed for the Women's Speed Championship. Don't get why that's still a thing. And then Oba or Trick versus Ricky Saints for the NXT and TNA World Championship. I think that's where the TNA invasion's happening. No way one of them's walking out with dual champion tomorrow. And then Ethan Page versus Tavion Heights. I think Tavion Heights is winning that one. So my predictions in general, I'd like to see Lola win the NXT Women's Championship. Don't think it's happening. I think JC's going to retain and carry the title towards probably the end of the year. I think Soul's dropping the Speed Championship. Oba is going to retain the NXT because I think Ricky's going up. And I got Tavion Heights winning the North American Championship. Page, I think, is going up soon. So that is that. If there's anything newsworthy, I'll be back next week. If not, see you soon. Adios. Goodbye.